of a fight against China in the Taiwan Straits and the South China Sea that show the U.S. losing, right?
Exactly.
Like
Precisely my
everyone,
point.
right? Yeah, and there are still people in denial of that, even within the Pentagon, right? But that is already what even the US's own war games are showing. So it would not be illogical to accept that. It's just it also becomes ideological and narrative, right? Because people don't want to accept that. Just like they don't want to accept that Russia has won or is winning the conflict in Ukraine. And there are, again, I hate to always bring this up, but there were people who didn't want to accept a US big L in Syria and never did. And at the end of the day, they found their way to some, A, B, C, D acceptable level of victory with an undoubted Russian and Iranian defeat in Syria, even though they had won on the battlefield. So never, ever let your guard down and never underestimate the American enemy and its capacity for achieving victory or at least ashes over the battlefield over their opponents.
It's like burning everything down. I guess one catch though. I mean, China industrial capacity is not getting worse. I mean, that's the rub. Russia's industrial capacity is not getting worse. Both
not at the moment. But 10 years down the road, we don't know where those economies are going to take us. Black swans do happen.
I accept that. I don't get. Yes, I accept that. That's 10 years, though. I can't see around corners, right? I'm just pointing out that China.
I don't know. The Chinese government can. They plan 50, 100 years in advance, right? The Russians are at least 5, 10 years thinking ahead, right? If we can think 5 years, 1 to 5 years ahead, I think we're doing good, right?
Yeah. I guess I just don't see. It seemed like all of this talk about 2027 had to do with we need to keep China from getting out the barn, and in 2027 they're going to be out the barn. Personally, I thought that was already behind us. I thought they were already out the barn in regards to, if you look at their industrial base, industrial capacity, the mechanism that they use for their war fighting and all this other stuff. I took it as somebody is acknowledging reality. And in doing so, it's trying to, hey, why don't we hit these countries that don't have nukes? They don't have a massive industrial base. Do you think this is still going to bring these countries at odds, though? I mean, China has, I think a large part of the issue with Venezuela is let's say, the relationship with China and Russia and Venezuela, and this idea that Venezuela can now exploit more oil and that type of stuff.
I just saw that China just completed some floating oil platform in Venezuela over the weekend, Precisely. Right? There's a lot of investment, Russia and China, economic, but also geopolitical investment in Venezuela. But neither China nor Russia have the military capacity to defend Venezuela in the other side of the world, in the Western Hemisphere, against the U.S. if it is really set on. And what I see off of Venezuela's coast right now is not a military invasion force, right? It is not, right? 4,000 Marines are not going to do the job, no matter how fragile you may believe the Venezuelan government and military are. That's still not enough. Now, if the goal is to launch a bunch of tomahawks and some airstrikes and blow up some stuff and declare victory and go home, which is entirely within the Trump administration's playbook, right, of looking for another big PR win, right? That is possible. And it is also possible that invasion force may be increased, right, into something that is really capable of regime change in Venezuela. It all becomes very difficult right now, much more difficult than it was during Trump's first administration, where people who were paying attention will remember there was a very Keystone Cops attempt at regime change in Venezuela that went catastrophically wrong. I think I heard Bay of Piglets tossed around at the time. But at that time, the Colombian government was right wing, pro US, and anti Venezuela. The Colombian government now, right? The government that any attacks on Venezuela would almost certainly have to be launched from, right? Is leftist and more pro Venezuela than it is anti Venezuela. So that is a severe limitation for the moment that needs to be recognized for any actual U.S. military attempt. Also, we have previously seen big protest movements, insurgent movements supported by the West. The Juan Guaidos and the far more violent aspects of that on the ground in Venezuela, but that's not happening right now, right? Something like that would take months to fully activate it, even if that is the intent here. That would make a military scenario easier if the government was already being destabilized from within. And that would be an indication that there was regime change intent. But I don't see that happening right now. That's why I'm very skeptical about the seriousness of all this noise about Venezuela right now as well. I wonder how much of this isn't a deliberate policy of foreign policy distraction. Don't look at what we're doing over there, not following through on what many people want on Ukraine or something like that. Pay more attention to all of this bluff and bluster about Venezuela right now. That is, I believe, within the thinking, policy strategy of the Trump administration. Of
wag the dog.
Yeah, well, no, not wag the dog, just big foreign policy distraction, right?
But at the core of wag the dog, that was a distraction, right? It's this.
Bill depending Clinton, on which side, whether you're the tail or the dog, right?
Right. Okay, let me ask you this, and this is pretty close. Do you think that in Trump's heart of hearts, deep down heart of hearts, that for all intents and purposes, he would want to close the war out? He just wants to be able to say,
I don't know. I'm not going to try to psychoanalyze Trump anymore. I think that's a fool's game. He changes his opinion every 15 minutes, depending on who he talked to last. And I think it's irrelevant.
It's not, because it depends on if the Russians think that Donald Trump may want to save face in some way. Because that Okay, go ahead. Make your point. I'm sorry. Make your point.
If the rest of the juggernaut can't be turned, then it doesn't make any difference what Trump really wants in his, gold lame heart of hearts, and I don't believe that anything is written in Donald Trump's heart of hearts other than how much he likes lucrative real estate deals, right? I don't believe that anything. I think the man is extremely capable of absolute sincerity about something and having absolute sincerity about 100 degrees the opposite 15 minutes later.
Right. It's like I strongly, passionately believe this thing, and now I
don't think Trump strongly, passionately believes anything.
Then why are the Russians continuously playing this game with them?
Because they're playing a game. It's a diplomatic game. It could bear fruit. It costs very little. It also keeps countries like Brazil and India on side.
Fair enough. I agree with you. I think part of the reason that they're also keeping deaths down, I should say, is for the same argument of, we want this multipolar world. We don't believe in the destruction of nations. And if you kill a lot of people in a mass event, you kind of kill this argument of we are better, we are morally. Yeah. So, Mark, you're fantastic, man. You give fantastic breakdowns. You're the best in the business. I say it, and I don't say it just to put on airs. I think the audience knows I'm pretty transparent. If I like somebody, I like them. If I dislike them, I dislike them. Mark Sloboda, International Relations Security Analyst. You can follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Sloboda1. You can find him on The Real Politic with Mark Sloboda on Boosty, Boosty. Check out his Patreon. Like I said, best in the business.
That is
Thank
a
you.
Patreon. That is a sanctions-proof
Oh,
Patreon.
Boosty,
Don't
I'm sorry.
follow me on Patreon because I
I'm
don't
sorry.
have a Patreon page.
Boosty,
Say,
thank you, Mark. I'm sorry, Boosty. Boosty. Follow him on Boosty, Real Political
it is
Mark.
like Patreon. Yeah.
It is like Patreon. Thank you, Mark. I'm sorry. You be safe, man. You have a good day, okay?
Thanks.
All right. And Mark is fantastic. Mark is fantastic. And yes, it's Boosty, Boosty. Definitely check him out. Definitely subscribe to his channel. Best in the business. And I mean that in all sincerity. Look, there are a few channels that I really, really like. Carl Jha, he's one of them. Mark, easily one of them. Jeff Rich, I actually like Jeff Rich. I'm a fanboy of Jeff Rich channel, the Burning Archive. But Mark, best in the business. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, and his analysis has been bar none. As Mark would say, there are some people who are cheerleaders who you could go to in order to feel good, and then you can come here, listen to him, and get the straight shooting, of what's actually taking place. I was. There is a rumor that he is on other channels. I don't know if that rumor is to be true. I do know, as a flat fact, he comes here, and he is fantastic when he comes. So definitely check him out. Definitely support his content. Definitely support his work.